Chapter 4, Searching for the Truth. This is the field where hidden lies the pearl of price unknown. The merchant is divinely wise, who makes the pearl his own. I went back to my cell. How dreary is Sunday in prison! After the morning service in the chapel, the prisoners are marched back to their cells, taking their plate of dinner with them as they pass the dining hall, and the rest of the day is spent in solitude. Oh, those long dismal hours! I had generally contrived to have a novel on hand, but that day I had none. What I had heard was ringing in my ears, and the thought possessed me to find the verse which had so struck me. Every prison cell is supplied with a Bible, but alas, few of them are used. Mine I had never touched since the day I entered my narrow apartment, and laid it away in the ventilator. I took it down, beat the dust from it, and opened it. But where to turn to find the words I wanted I knew not. There was nothing to do but begin at the beginning and read it till I came to them. On and on I read. How interested I grew! It seemed better than any novel I had ever read, and I could scarcely leave it to go to sleep. I became so fascinated that from that day on it was my greatest delight. I was glad when I was released from work that I might get hold of my Bible. And night after night, when daylight was gone, I stood up by my grated door to read by the dim light which came from the corridor. I had supposed it to be a dry, dead thing, a book only fit for priests and saints. But now, whenever I could get a chance to communicate with my mates in the workshop, I told them that it was a splendid thing, that Bible. I never found that verse. I had forgotten it in my new interest in the book. But I had found a good many verses that made me stop and think. At last I came to 1 Timothy, 4th chapter, which begins in this way. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly, that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies in hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry, and commanding to abstain from meats, which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. I threw down the book and kicked it about my cell. The vile heretics, I cried. There's their lies. I always heard the old book was a pack of lies. That's the way they hold us Catholics up. Something seemed to whisper to me, go get a Catholic Bible, and then you can prove this to be false. I couldn't get rid of the thought. I took my first chance to go to the library and ask for a Catholic Bible. They looked at me pretty sharp, as though they would like to understand what I was driving at. But they gave me what I wanted, and I took it to my cell. Eagerly I turned to that chapter. There they were, the very same words, forbidding to marry, and commanding to abstain from meats. But there were notes in the margin which boxed it up so that my suspicions were at once aroused. I said, it surely is the Word of God, and they are trying to get out of it. I turned to various parts, to Kings, Isaiah, and other books, and I found that the words in both were almost the same. The meaning was the same always, and I was in despair. Then I read the whole book through again, and liked it better the second time than I did the first. The book of Revelation particularly astonished me. I tried to believe, but I could not understand it. End of chapter 4.